and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Sea View Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.
Hello viewers and welcome to the brunch. I am Saja Brito and as usual, our usual panel of course, Mr. Lamin Cham, Nima Kamara and Mustafa Kedabo. Welcome to the show. Well, it looks like today we are going to have a little switch up on the schedule of the program, and we are going to introduce our special guest first, who is no other person than Honorable Billaye Tunkara. He is the Vice Chairperson of the National Assembly Select Committee on Trade. He will tell us about the efforts they are doing with the Finance Ministry to negotiate with Jilbro. Welcome to the show, Honorable Tunkara.
Thank you very much. My greetings to the entire Gambian populace and listeners and viewers out there. As you rightly mentioned, my name is Honorable Billaye Tunkara, Member of Parliament for Tunkara Constituency, equally the Vice Chair of Trade Committee in Parliament.
So we know that before tax hikes happen, it has to be deliberated by the National Assembly. Yeah. Was it the case here with Jilbro?
Well, I would refer us to Section 109 of the Constitution, that those gave right for our existence as a committee, that there shall be committees to investigate or inquire into activities, administrative matters of government, such as inquiry may extend to making proposal legislations. We have our powers here as a committee, and then therefore the budget has been introduced by the minister, which does justify in Section 152 that the annual estimate and appropriation bill, section 1, the president shall cause a minister responsible for finance to prepare and levy for National Assembly at least 30 days before the end of the financial year estimate of revenue and expenditure of the Gambia for the following financial year. These estimates shall include the estimate which under this constitution are to be submitted directly to the President by the Chief Justice or any other authority presented to the National Assembly. So therefore, the budget or estimate has been presented to us in Parliament, and then which we have approved it at plenary, which does make this book as an act of Parliament. And then if you go to page 130, that is the justification of tax, which is there. That is domestic, come the following fiscal year, from 1st January 2019, excise tax to the following increase accordingly: spirit, that is 15% to 60%, and beer from 10% to 75%, and wine 15% to 60%, which does indicate that before it was $175 per bottle in spirit, and $100 for beer, and $150 for wine. The current price will indicate that instead of 175 is now 280 for spirit, and beer would rise from 100 to 175 as a result of a 75% increment. And also for wine, it will increase from 150 to 240. And this was calculated and inputted in the annual estimate budget.
So, I mean, when you were going through the figures, it occurs to me that, in fact, this tax hike is now, it's part of the budget.
Yes.
That has been approved.
Yes.
And it's something that cannot be reversed without going through the same process.
That's right.
So, when you people were approving this budget,
yes,
did it occur to you that the consequences that the companies like Jilbro are facing could come?
Thank you very much for that wonderful question. To be honest, due process has been taken place whereby the minister laid the budget in parliament and defended the budget. But it was a result of enough time for members to go through the budget, to scrutinize the budget to the letter. Because the existing constitution, those gave room for the budget to be passed within 14 days. That is 2 weeks. And then when the budget is delayed to parliament, and then another week for parliament to consider and adapt and send it to the president for his approval. I mean, to assign his signature so that he can issue certificate.
Does that mean you don't have enough time to meticulously go through the budget?
Exactly. Exactly. Those are some of the constitutional challenges that the parliament is actually faced with right now. And it was some of the concern we want to address in the new constitution, whereby a budget is not really sufficient to be scrutinized within 7 days or 14 days. You know, as if you look at the budget is too bulky. There's about 500 pages if I don't. Yeah, it's a huge lot of documents, and this cannot be given justice within just 7 days to scrutinize and pass. So therefore, we were reversing our standing orders to make sure that at least budget scrutiny does at least takes place at least within a month or two for us to be able to do justice with it. And in fact, we are even bringing about new proposals whereby every ministry has a portfolio committee here. So we'll cost the particular ministry to a particular committee to go through and scrutinize and give their recommendation to bring that in.
What do you make of suggestions that the National Assembly members themselves are either not themselves grounded in economic and financial affairs, or they should have got specialists for the various committees to advise them what the day-to-day or on-the-street implications will be of the tax policies they are approving? Isn't that not the case?
Yeah, it's still...
Did you know, Tunkara, when you were passing this, that this could result into things like Julebrew going out of business because they cannot sustain the tax burden placed on them? In the last 3 months alone, Julebrew paid more than they've paid the whole of last year. So if in 3 months you're asking them to cough $95 million, which normally is the whole year, and you know, in the remaining quarter of the year, how much do you think they can cough up? They will close down. Now, in fact, the issue is what can be done now to immediately address it?
No, but before we go to this, important.
Yes, let me fall back. Yeah, let me fall back to the Constitution, as Section 152, subsection 3A. The National Assembly shall, within 7 days of the introduction of the appropriation bill, give consideration and pass the bill. Within 7 days, a 1 week period, when the bill is now introduced to Parliament, they should consider and pass this bill. Now, it does indicate the time factor that obviously we cannot do justice to this budget within just 7 days. And two, also, Parliament is really constrained. Remember, 98% of members of Parliament are first-timers. You know, it does showcase or portray the issue of capacity as well, even though the Parliament did extremely well in terms of capacity building of members, per se. But notwithstanding, Parliament need adequate, instrument to make sure that at least we can go through the budget, peruse through it, scrutinize very well, and give a proper recommendation.
Wouldn't that include experts who will come and help you, subject specialists who would be advising you while you are looking at this budget?
Yeah, and to be quite honest with you, we do normally have a budget retreat session in Tandaba prior before budget is being laid to Parliament to go through, but it hasn't come to our mind. This particular portion of the budget really escaped our mind, and no member is in fact actually raised this issue that, you know, there is a tax increment here from 10% to 75%. Notwithstanding, it is an act of Parliament already. And once an act of Parliament is passed, it becomes a law. And you were asking, there are possibilities in terms of what can be done immediately.
To save 200 jobs, and Gambia's only brewery, which is, it has very good reputation around the world and a very good attraction to tourists.
Yes, thank you very much for that question. And that is the reason why the Select Committee on Trade were on their toes for the past 2 weeks to see how best we can actually salvage this situation. And part of it, to try to give remedy to this situation, we call both parties, that is the management of Jilbro, to come to Parliament and hear their own side of story. And then we also rely ourselves to see those facts in the budget, which was actually verbatim written to us. We've seen it. And we also deemed necessary to engage the line ministry. In fact, it was not only Ministry of Finance, but we deemed it necessary to engage the Trade Ministry, which has some expert in terms of industrial matters. So we did engage them about, well, these are Act of Parliament which was passed, and then right now it's really haunting or affecting, in fact, the operation of the Jilbro as a company, which also has a multiplier effect in terms of job security. So what can we do now? And then
also pricing.
And pricing as well. Yeah, pricing per se, it's a concern. But however, notwithstanding, this is a tax-based economy. And when government is trying to get revenue, they look at those sectors which are kind of revenue generating, and people are very addicted to it. These are some of the good areas that government can normally look at to generate tax from. Notwithstanding, we invited the ministry, the two ministers. Unfortunately, the Minister of Trade was away, but was ably represented by the deputy PS, that is Damfa. And then he is a specialist in terms of industrial matters. So we discuss the policy, well, is here, and then there need to be something, there is something to be done per se, and how can we try to address this situation. And then we arrive at consensus. Okay, yes, that's right. It was passed by you, very people. And then as people's representative now, they are crying over there, and then that should be revised. Now, we are going to put our heads together about the ministry and see what is visible under the current situation, and come up with those recommendations to you and see how best we can address this situation. But however, I want them, the management of Jilbro and others companies, to know that you cannot give government an ultimatum that if you don't do this thing, we're going to do this thing. You don't threaten the government. Understand? We appreciate the fact that there are also industries that are actually helping government in terms of job security and also contributing to our national basket in terms of tax base. And notwithstanding, if you look at the Gambia Investment and Promotion Act, GAIPA Act 2015, the Gambian government has been so much magnanimous in terms of investors, encouraging them to gain their footings. You understand? For the past years, they've been charged for 10% on their produce. And our survey, our analysis, does indicate our sub-regions, Guinea-Bissau charge 40%, and Guinea-Conakry, Senegal here charge 50% on this beer. Gambia was undercharging them.
Yeah, but how can you justify 50 when up to 75?
I'm coming. So our findings indicate that even our sub-region, our neighboring country, Senegal, is charging 50% beer. But the problem is the tax could have been incremental. Understand? Gradually. Yeah. That we don't have any question on that. Could have been incremental from 10 to 25 or 30.
Exactly.
And then let them cope under the current situation. Then following year or so, we can just adjust until we get to at least the requisite tax percentage for us to make sure that it is justifiable. But when it now jumped from 10% to 75%, it does raise concern.
At the same time.
Yeah, at the same time.
That's where the problem is.
Yes, that's where the problem lies. So that is where we are trying to see what's really obtained within a subdivision, how much are they taxing them, which we understood is 50%. So the Gambian government taxing them 10% for a number of years, well, that is part of the revenue leakages and the inefficiency of ministries for them to recognize that fact. And then now that this thing has occurred, and it's an act of parliament we're talking about, a law. So adequate measures has to take in place. They should really indulge a little bit of patience that it takes procedure. It has to go through a procedure.
And what are those procedures? Yeah,
the procedure is the executive has the power again to lay a revised budget, a bill, a revised bill to Parliament, whereby to see how best we can revise it in the downward.
And that would be just on the tax component.
The tax, it will be written.
Excise.
Yeah.
That will not only be Julburu now, it will be many others.
No. I am talking about the issue here. The cry here is about Julburu.
Okay.
And these are the indication that from 1st of January 2019, tax will increase on these three commodities.
No. Okay.
The spirits.
They are the sole producers of
Yes,
that.
the spirits.
Okay.
Yeah, the spirits, the beer, and the wine. The spirit and wine were charged 15%.
Okay.
Now 60. The beer was charged 10% and now 75.
So in other words, moving forward,
Yes.
the first move to revise this problem should come from the president. So he's the one they should target now. He should.
No. You don't. I told you. I'm coming.
This is an act of parliament.
Let me help you. You know, president don't bring bills to it. It does say that the president may cause a minister concerned of that particular area to lay a bill, to present a bill.
I'm saying no. Now, if we are to reverse it, where will it start from?
That's what I'm telling you. The custodian of this budget is Minister of Finance.
Okay, they are the one who should come up.
Yes.
On the instruction of the president.
Yes.
Is
what I'm
that
saying.
Is that feasible?
I'm saying now, if somebody want to fix this.
When we are almost 3/4 into the year.
Exactly. That is why I want to make this thing very, very, the GAIPA Act, to tell you how government has been protective in terms of these local industries in our country. We have the investment incentives we have been enjoying. Part of it, Section 39A, is that a tax holiday. It says that a special investment certificate shall be granted to newly established investment enterprises at a minimum of the following incentive for a period of 5 years. Could you imagine that? 5 years for you to gain your footing. 1, a tax holiday in respect of the income tax, including corporate or turnover tax. C, an annual allowance at the rate of 15% for a depreciation of buildings, including structural improvement, notwithstanding the rate provided in the third schedule. C, exemption from imported duties in respect to the capital goods in accordance with the Customs and Excise Act 2010. And D, exemption from imported value added tax. So these are acts of the country, GAIPA Act, those given the room. You know, the reason why I'm saying that
that's for newly established business.
Even have a re-establishment of expansion business also, like them, they still have incentive for them.
So let's look at a more
to actually explain to them better. This tax is not as if it's witch hunt. It's not anti-investment. You know, government has been really very magnificent in terms of giving them those kind of, you know, leverages per se, to allow them to grant a footing to compete with the international investors.
Let's look at a more complex issue, because we're already 3 months into the year, more than that in fact.
This is the 5th month.
Yes, this is the 5th month. Government has already made projections, and these projections, there are expenditures lying side by side with the projections.
That's right.
Now, if you fall short of the amount of money you ought to raise from the taxes, you're definitely going to have a lot of holes to plug on the budget.
That's right.
Then you revise this, you deal with the consequences.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In fact, this was my own personal contribution at committee stage, that the committee is dealing with an act of parliament. And these are, as the name implies, these are estimate of revenue expenditures that we presume that we are going to attain within a fiscal year. Now, this projection also has tax component, and one of which is what we are discussing right now. Now, any attempt to revise this one downward, it means obviously there are revenue implications. So those revenue implications also, it will now force government to look around again how to fill in those potholes now, those revenue implications. understand?
For example, if that part of revenue was what estimated to finance the increment of salaries of teachers or civil servants.
Exactly.
So if it's not done, government will force to reverse to the old salaries, perhaps, as an example.
Or to
So,
go to
the
domestic
question
then,
I have
domestic
though is-
borrowing.
Or to borrow.
Government will always look for local means to make sure that at least this, because this is really cause for concern for Parliament. And then, as I told you, we will gonna take adequate measures next time around to make sure that we do just to the budget. 7 days to consider this thing and pass is not enough, to be honest with you. So right now, any attempt to this budget will just give rise for revenue implications in the country.
So would you agree with people when they say that businesses are suffering or are going to suffer as a result of an overly extravagant budget that wasn't supposed to be approved in the first place by the National Assembly?
Well, to say businesses are going to suffer because of the extravagant budget you talk about?
Like the
excess
huge budget.
The huge
Yeah,
budget,
yeah,
yes.
budget.
As of now, we haven't received issue of a cry by the business industries coming to Parliament that the current situation is not favorable here and there.
Only Jude Broad.
Only Jude that approached the committee and their concern was beer, not even soft drinks.
Oh, yeah, because the beers there, they got money.
You understand? Yes. So it's really affecting the beer, the spirit, and the wine. You understand? And we are asking them to have patience with the government. The issue has been noted. And interestingly, both ministers are communicating right now to find a possible way forward. And what they should understand is that it will not go well for a private investor or a company to impose an ultimatum on government. Now, if you don't do this thing, we are going to do this thing. It's not right.
They actually,
I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Even though they have the right to complain, but you are partners in this.
Yes.
You would have at least adequately, try to use the appropriate channels to have a dialogue. That's what they've done to Parliament. They come to us.
Yeah.
We give them the listening.
They've produced a lot of proof of correspondence they have
Yes.
with the various ministries on
Yes.
the matter.
Yes.
They have volumes of it.
Yes.
They said they haven't got any.
4 letters was written to the ministry.
Yes, they said they haven't got any.
And the
reply.
minister, the minister confessed to the committee because we did take it very serious with him.
Yeah.
That how can you have 4 communication
Right, and you
to your
don't.
ministry and not a single
Right.
one is responded?
What did the minister have
He
to say?
said he's just seen for the first time. So you see, there is problem somewhere. This is what we just passed through also in the bread issue as well. In terms of we come up with a recommendation to even eliminate the bikers from the system. The committee did take a very robust step to make sure that the price of bread and the quality of bread is maintained in the
So
country.
Julbro had, in all fairness, exercised a lot of patience. They wrote to the finance ministry 4 times.
Yeah,
And nobody replied them. You just said the minister confessed
did
that-
confess to that, yes.
that he didn't, yeah.
Yes, but what I'm telling you is that you cannot, even though they have right to vent their anger, but the issue of ultimatum,
But they didn't say, what
It's
did
not-
she
it's not just a
what
matter
they
of
said they
sending
made it close.
ultimatums.
yes,
They
yes.
could actually do what they are threatening to do.
Yeah.
And if they do that, there's going to be a bearing on the government and the people who are employed there and the people who are benefiting from their products. So this is beyond ultimatums, sending ultimatums of not having not the right to do so.
Yes.
This is a crisis that is supposed to be addressed amicably.
Yes.
And I think from the government's perspective, now the ball is in your court to make sure that you bring all the stakeholders together
Yes,
to discuss this matter, to see how you can solve it amicably.
that's right.
Because there is so many things are involved here, and all of these things are government's responsibility.
That's
this
right.
is going to affect the budget, for example. It is affecting consumer prices. It is going to affect the employees who are employed at the company. And all of these things, the government has a responsibility there.
Right.
Right? So Jude Brew can afford to send ultimatums, but can the government afford to let them carry out their threats?
In fact, I
Now,
don't think this.
Let me respond. Let me respond to her. Thank you very much for that valid contribution per se. I want every Gambian to understand that we're in a fragile state. A fragile state in the sense that every individual has a right to preserve that. When things are wrong, there are procedures that you can approach. Understand? I spoke to Bori Dabo,
That's Julbro.
Jelbro, And then I thought that why not, before going on air, I mean, there's a select committee here, write to us. The committee does has powers of equal to High Court to summon anybody to come before you. And if you refuse, we can ask for them to arrest you and bring you before the committee. That is how powerful the committee is. You understand? It does have the power of High Court. Now, once a problem has been identified and they cry over it, and they does portray the issue of job security, no government will really fall their own hand and will see your people suffer. You understand? And if you look at the current, just the tourist season, just after tourism, you know how many governments are laid off from their jobs? So it is not at the interest of the government to see their citizens, not actually having, that means of survival. Understand? Now, that is the reason why we took it upon ourselves that this is not about government now. This is about national crisis now, because our citizens' life is at stake now. Understand? So how best could we, as partners now, the three arms of government, the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary, to come together and see...
And the business community.
Yes, and business community.
Those who are directly affected.
Yeah. That is why the committee deemed it necessary that let us first of all engage the management of Jalbro. When we hear that sort of story, then that is why it was through our engagement we've learned that they have sent communications.
Yes.
And that is why we put it to the minister.
Yeah.
That was it an act of negligence for not responding to these things or what? So it was, once we were done with them, we called the ministry. And he does confess in presence of the committees. That's the first time. So we now say now, this matter, you are the policy, you are the technocrats. You go together, two ministers, brainstorm with your permanent secretaries, how best we can salvage this situation now. Yes, that is the stage where we are, and that is the stand of the committee. Their crisis has been heard, but we will always indulge them to actually appeal to them to exercise patience that this thing has to be taken with procedures. It has to be done procedurally, and they should recognize the fact that the committee is not really falling a hand. We are on them day and night.
What are the chances here? What are the chances that
for a revision
for the downward revision?
Yeah. Well, I know the Ministry of Trade, the section that's dealing with the issue of industrial promotion would always find time to sit down and see to strike compromise. Probably, it can be struck down to either 50 or 60, and see so that the minimum of risk, the minimum of budget deficiencies can be accommodated in the budget. That might be another way forward to see. Well, now that our sub-regionals are taxing 50 instead of 10 now, we're going to tax you 50% and let go of 25%. And government will now try to look around how best they can fill in that gap. At least minimum risk, very, very little minimum of this thing. I'm just saying my personal contribution. But I'm not presuming.
How soon?
Yes.
That also needs to come back to you people in Parliament.
Yes, every attempt to this must come to Parliament.
So that means it's going to...
I told you that the only authority mandated under the 1997 Constitution to approve this thing for implementation is the Parliament. So any attempt of it also, it has to come to Parliament for approval.
Good. So
it's going to take time because it has to be reviewed by the ministry. The ministry will have to also look at all the tax implications and revenue implications and all that.
Yes.
Then it comes back to the Julbru to see if they can actually accommodate that.
That is.
Then it comes back again to the National Assembly. National Assembly. So we are looking at three weeks, 4 weeks.
Yeah,
we don't expect that they are going to provide solutions immediately. I think what is important now here is to have a two-way conversation, communication.
Thank you.
So that everybody who is involved will know where they are and know that it's being taken seriously. But when you're conferring solutions to a problem, and the main partner who is suffering from your decisions is not being put into the picture, that's where the problem arises.
But the
And
tax
I think
cannot wait.
that's where, that's how Julbru might have
Julbru is
impatient
choking.
and said an ultimatum.
That is why
But the tax
I'm
cannot
coming.
wait.
I'm coming.
Yes.
I'm coming.
Any month that passes
It has to
will
be
be
paid.
paid.
I'm
Because
coming.
that's the law.
That's why they
I'm
are
coming.
saying that they will be forced to close down. They are
They
not
will
actually
only
given
close.
ultimatum. The only way for them to escape paying this money is to
close
close down.
Now let me put
That's
it,
what they're trying to say.
let me put it right.
In 3 months, they paid what they paid the whole year.
Yeah.
Let me put it right. As they rightly said, that's why I said we are appealing to the management of Julbru.
To continue.
To
paying
continue.
the
No.
So continue
Allow me
losing
to learn.
Yeah.
We are appealing to them. That it's really an unfortunate situation now. We've had a cry, but rest assured, the two ministers are really engaging now to see how to strike compromise. But notwithstanding, they must understand that it has to go through the process. It's procedural in nature, and that must be understood.
So now, meanwhile, they are choking on the taxes. So they are taking a lot of money has been taken from them to government, and they are running at a total cost. They said, well, perhaps we'll need to close down until the matter is resolved. Is that too much? Are you asking? Are they asking too much of that?
I
They
know.
do that. Are they not justified?
I don't think it has to go that far, because if you close down the company,
Yes.
it does also has a reputation on your records.
In the government, in fact,
I'm coming.
Country.
Both sides.
Yes.
It does has a reputation on your listing. Right. Now the company also will have a track record that they have been closed down because of tax issues.
Yes.
And now government also it doesn't go well, because it will tell the external investors that the country does not give a listening ear or room for negotiation. Yeah. But what's really important there? We as Gambian, as I told you before, you cannot be seen as dictating government what to do. It's dialogue, negotiation, roundtable discussion will get to the solution to the problem. Once the government is feeling that you are trying to give them conditionalities, I mean, let me tell you, according to Nelson Mandela, anyone who does change their principles of whom he is dealing with is not fit to lead a nation. You cannot say, this is a policy and it must be implemented to the letter. You cannot say because of Julbru, I'm going to compromise my policies. If you do that, you cannot lead a nation.
But that's what we are saying.
Now, I'm coming.
They will have to be paid.
Yeah.
The past month will also have to be paid.
Yes.
So in the meantime, unless they shut down operations, they are going to be obliged to pay the tax.
That's what I'm telling you. You see, in governance,
they cannot afford.
The question is,
are
they not in position to be able to pay the tax until a solution is being
That's what they say. They are saying that
tax must go on.
They cannot pay tax, because it means that whatever they work go to tax, and there is no money to pay the salaries to maintain them.
No business owner will tell you they have money to pay tax.
Exactly.
No, but they have shown their records. They have
Oh,
shown
they
their
will
records.
tell you
I
they
cannot-
have
3 months alone, they paid
I
over
cannot speak-
$95 million,
From
I
an
cannot-
example.
which is
I
the
cannot
total
speak.
of their cost. Now, if the government is
Mr.
saying
Cham.
that we proposed our expenditure, we base our expenditure on these estimates. Julbru also saying that in the next 12 months, this is what we are going to pay for tax. So if you are saying that they are going to pay 3 times what they budgeted for tax, where is the money going to come
But
from?
here is what we
So
need.
that's where the problem is.
Mr. Cham,
Let's look at the bigger picture.
yeah, exactly.
The bigger picture here is that this is a whole country, right? A mistake has been done.
Yes.
I cannot understand how an outrageous increase like this could happen and go unnoticed.
10 to 75%.
And nobody considered what the
The gap is
consequences
just
are going
too
to be.
big.
But that's besides the point. This has happened now, and if there is going to be a cut on the amount of tax they are paying now, like Mustafa said, it's going to affect other things as well. And more people are going to suffer from that consequence than
this one.
is currently happening.
Yes.
So there must be compromise from both sides.
Thank you.
My point is there should be a dialogue, and this has to be continual until a solution is reached.
That is
But what
my
about if the
point.
other side is not even responding to
That
it?
No,
case,
no,
you
no.
are only
That's the
looking-
problem. Now that's what we
Mr.
have to
Chan,
find
let me
out.
be
You are only
heard.
looking for
Mr.
another
Cham,
evil now.
no, Lamin,
The thing
wait,
is, the
wait. Let me
ramifications
help
of
you
Daniel
here.
Brewer is closing down, like he said.
Let me help you
It's not
out.
only our
No.
reputation as a
Let me help
But
you.
it's going to affect even tourism.
Let me help you. You see, I want you to understand it from a bigger picture. Now, this is affecting only one company in the country. Now, we are saying that we've admitted it is in the budget. they were very angry and very furious as a result of lack of correspondence.
Yeah.
And we as a committee stood on our grounds to recreate that communication channel between the two parties. And now, we are now asking government now, do whatever you can do.
You are part of the government.
Yes, yes.
And if
well,
you're going to blame the ministry, you blame, there is a collective responsibility.
yeah, when I say, when I say government, I base it on a context. Yeah, an executive context here. But we are collectively, we three arms constitute government. But if you look at it, we are not civil servant. That is why we're how do you call it?
But collectively, would you say you failed, Joe?
Not really. You see, I want to
you passed the budget, man.
No.
Yeah.
Passing the budget, there are intentions of every policy. We did ask the minister, what is the intention of this 75 increment? He does give justification. One of it was the issue of alcohol abuse in the country. Youths are getting to access because it's very cheap. And another rationale behind it is to generate revenue for the country. Notwithstanding, now that they are not convenient under the current circumstances, we create room for dialogue. And that dialogue will continue until we arrive at a consensus. And let me tell you, when government is now found wanted, there are mechanisms in which they can also try to compensate the particular industry in different ways. You can be given, a tax holiday. You can be given. There are a lot of ways to remedy this situation now. But allow the government to put their heads together and come with a recommendation solution. If it's favorable to the management of Jailbrew, so be it. But obviously, they will provide a solution.
Which is what they said, because you have complained that they run out of passion. They wrote 4 letters. Nobody listened to them.
So let's take it little back to the basic.
Yeah.
When you people were, because we don't have much time anymore.
Yeah.
But when you people were approving the budget, I was in the National Assembly. And
Yeah.
there was quite a cry from some section of the lawmakers that, look, we are going too fast with salary increment. We are dealing with a tax-based economy here. And salary increment will have implications.
That's right.
And there were other expenditure issues, such as there was a desire being expressed to cut down on traveling of public officials,
Yeah.
which also have some budgetary implications.
Right.
There were also complaints that we need to downsize our embassies.
Embassies, of course.
To reduce costs, but also to downsize the civil service, because the wage bill is over close to 3 billion now.
Yes.
But lawmakers didn't listen.
Okay, very good. I want to tell you that this government, the mandate given to the government is to embark on reforms. And those reform processes are what you just mentioned. Institutional reform, civil service reform, security reform, another reform process now. Now, the issue of trying to downsize the embassies is really a concern. Under my committee of trade, my committee of foreign affairs, we are really engaging the minister that these embassies are becoming unbearable. There is a need for us to downsize them so that at least to reduce the financial burden on government and use this revenue, put it into the productive sector of the economy, agriculture, education and health.
How about civil service?
But they didn't listen.
I'm coming.
They didn't listen, and you people allowed them to go ahead anyway.
I'm coming. Every ministry, the parliament, I can tell vividly, they cut their allocations. You can go to record, go to Ansad, you will see the various ministry departments where their budget has been sliced down. Understand? And the issue of tax, the 50% increment, talking about, the 50% increment is the very MPs who are concerned about the salary, the post salary scale of the country, and those need for at least an adjustment so that at least you can actually have a living. But the manner in which it was done, the 50% increment, you will see that some are really at a low level,
yes,
in terms of percentage level. It means no significant change to their lives. That is why the parliament is now asking the minister, you know what, this issue of 50%, I don't think it will all go well. Now, what we do is a holistic review of the salary scale and see what is visible on the current situations.
But here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
The government's expenditure, we can agree, have getting very high compared to the previous years.
Yeah.
And compared to the previous years, too, revenue is not as forthcoming as it used to be. Isn't that not a consideration put forward by the National Assembly to say that we are increasing expenditure, but it's not corresponding with the amount of revenue that we generate, especially domestically?
I would just refer you to this place. You see, if you look at the budget, we are really interested in now that, thank God, that we normally have, a huge amount of money being, collected by our tax collectors. But what is really important is to make sure that those monies are invested in productive sectors. Like we want to see, about the recurrent budget and development budget. We don't want to see in a ministry whereby you are investing heavily only on recurrent, whereby your development is just taking very little.
But this is what you approved. For example, recurrent expenditure.
I'm coming.
Honorable, there was an outcry, for example. You said some ministries have had their budgets drastically cut.
Yes.
Not so.
Yes.
That did not include State House, Ministry of Defense. I had people complaining that they're spending a lot of money. So why didn't you cut those sorts?
Anyway, I think we are deviating from our...
We are not deviating.
Because
down to the same budget.
Yes. But let me assure you, the NDP does has a priority, and those priorities are the development sector of the economy, and that's where you can see whereby agriculture, if you see the recurrent as opposed to the development, you will see that at least about 97% of the, we call it budget of agriculture is now plowed back into the development sector. It's only 14% that is given to the recurrent budget. That shows the seriousness of the parliament and also the desire to transform this country because we are in transition, and we must try to strengthen those institutions now. And that is why I am saying that now that we are getting more revenue, but now we're
getting more revenue from where?
I mean, like
there are grants and
the grants and here and there. Yeah. We must
put them into the productive sector.
Yeah, not promises, but actually, because this budget also contains $75 million of road construction that is busted down to Koina, which is very huge.
Yeah, but if you allocate
which has already been approved anyway.
Yes.
Because that's already there. But what we are saying is, in terms of the recurrent expenditures, we're talking about the salaries. We're talking about the rolling operational cost of government. We're talking about the operations of embassies. You have embassy in Mauritania. You have it in Senegal.
Yes.
A small country like Gambia, you could have done.
Even the rich countries actually don't do that. Like if you go to Senegal, all embassies there from the Sanjan countries.
I promise you, if you ask any member of parliament right now, the aim and objective of this parliament next budget season is to downsize the embassies. We understood that it's not easy to run an embassy looking at our country.
What about the Ministry of Defense and the President's Office? That was also an outcry from people that the budget allocated to them is just too much.
No, come on.
That's not a concern for the MPs.
No, it's not a concern for the MPs. You are actually debating to... Okay.
The vehicle policy, for example, what happened to that?
Yeah, thank you very much.
The vehicle policy, what happened to all that?
The vehicle policy was introduced in Parliament in good faith. That when it's implemented now, it will save government revenue.
But it's not being implemented.
But no, I'm coming.
You approved it.
We approved it, fine.
And it's not implemented?
Yes. The reason being, it was under the watch of Amadou Sane, the former Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, that brought the 10% zero on tax, on rice, and also the vehicle policy. But suddenly, when he was away, I think the permanent secretary woke up one night and said that, no, we're not going to go by this policy. We did made it very clear through the current Minister of Finance that there was a vehicle policy passed by the Assembly. And once a bill is passed, it becomes a law, which means it is ready for implementations. But we asked them that for go and revisit that policy. What is the constraint that make it not to be implemented? And right now, that's what they are doing. The results shows that there was lack of consultations before passing that particular bill in Parliament.
Yeah,
So you can see the deficiencies now.
So now, what stage would what would happen to the vehicle policy? Do you see it being implemented?
Screwed up.
Currently, it is now been revised. If you look at the question and answer sessions within the Parliament and the Ministry of Finance, it has been raised there. And the answer he gave at the plenary is that we are trying to look at it holistically and see where the lapses are and try to.
But you know what I don't understand?
Yes.
The 50% increment is supposed to be part of the vehicle policy. How could part of the vehicle policy be implemented and then the other part not?
No, come on. The 50%.
Because if you tell me,
the 50% increment is not on vehicle policy; it's on salaries.
No, I know, but this has been suggested as part of the vehicle
because
policy.
we see that 50 increment, just to help him clarify, it included tripling of transport fares. That's what brought it to that level. So it's trying to say that
the vehicle policy is part because you are
get
rid of the vehicles.
Yes.
And increase transport fares.
Yes.
So the vehicle policy, the 50% is part of the vehicle policy.
Okay, you are talking about the incentive given to them. Yes. The 50%.
But the government is reneging on getting rid of the vehicles.
What I'm saying that the vehicle policy under the Ministry of Finance, under the watch of Ahmad Sane, couldn't be implemented.
Because?
Reason.
So under the watch of Mambure now it should be implemented.
Right now,
yes.
Mambure was asked the same question in plenary. That what is stopping the vehicle policy implementation? And he said plenary that the policy is under review. And what they observed in the policy that there was no proper consultation.
Does this mean that people who are going to be affected have raised concern? The government is afraid of hurting them.
Well, I'm not in position to say that. Probably the minister would be in a position to adequately answer that question.
So that part is not being implemented because there was no proper consultation. Here is the Banjul Buru's case, which on the way there was no proper consultation, yet that has been implemented.
I don't think when I was I'm coming. Well, I don't think when I was giving my answers or response to your queries or questions, I did mention issue of lack of consultation.
No, you said that was an oversight.
Yes.
You didn't know at the time that this is what it could bring.
Yes.
Now that you realize that.
That doesn't mean that there was no consultation. Having an oversight of a particular matter, your inability to extract that particular...
The vehicle policy, when implemented, would have been saving us money. Not so.
No, you see, you cannot take me to Julbro and then hit me back to vehicle policy.
Now finally, the Julbro, we can expect that something is being done.
Yes. To be honest with you, the cry has been heard, and at level of parliament and the level of executive, we are on our toes.
And something will be done.
You know the implications of Julbro is that I'm talking from the point of view of Gambians.
Yes.
There are Gambians who actually are proud of their own local brewery.
That's fine.
And its products.
Yes.
All right? Soft drinks, all of us drink soft drinks. There are people also who take Julbro. And they are Gambians.
Yes.
Now, if they go to the shop and get that the cost of Julbro is multiplied,
yes,
they have a right to
honestly, in fact, our findings, the committee findings, we were able to see some beers and spirits in the market who are of high quality of alcohol content, 40%.
Yes.
While Julbro, you can take 10 or 20 bottles before you get drunk.
Have you had your taste?
I did. I'm just saying from that's what. So people see that there is low content of alcohol in Julbro.
Yeah.
And that those give a desire to drink as much as they can.
So the government is concerned.
I don't know.
I guess
ask the camera.
Next time we should have some beer.
Yeah, we should. Thank you very much, Honorable Billaye Tunkara there, who is the Vice Chairperson of the National Assembly Select Committee on Trade. Thank you very much for granting us this interview.
Thank you so much.
I don't know who was debating. You kept telling us we are debating. But anyway, thank you very much for coming here. Yeah. And we will now go to our next exciting segment, which is the Entrepreneur, where we profile Gambian businesses. Well, in this edition this week, we featured Mohamed Haidara, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Sky Textile, located in the heart of Serekunda. They sell textiles of different types and colors. Let's take a look at that, and we'll be right back.
Right back.
Billaye Mohamed Haidara. I'm the owner of the business. Ñun African textile, lu ko jëlee wax, brodé, bazin, African textile général daal. Ñun dañoo start rek dañ ut place rek jël bagage dugg fa noonu xam nga starting bi nag jafe-jafe bari na sant yàlla ak fiñ tollu tey alhamdulillah. waaw pour ut dara rek daan sama doole mun a survive sama bopp. ñun jafe-jafe bu ñu gën a sonal mooy luwaas yu cher ak jaaykatu yu nekk ci mbedd yi nii dañuy occupy mbedd bi nga xam ni oto mënut a jaar customer sax mënu ñëw ba ci yow ñaar yi daal ñoo ñu gën a sonal. fii sometimes bu season yi ñëwee dañ day jël ba 10 12 waaye basically moom 8 7 yooyu noonu. ñun suñ client yi jigéen ñi góor xale ñëpp képp ku bugg African textile moom you are our customer. yi ngay ñaan yàlla mu neex rek am na difficulty waaye we have hope dina gën a dem loolu rek lañu am. of course because expand ak business bi bu doxee loolu dafay laajte nga expand nag il faut ngay uti ay nit liggéey ak yëpp. location bi mooy boo jugee traffic light si marché Serekunda bi nga ñëw nga passé buy bi rek boo passé buy bi rek nga xool sa left da ngay di Sky Textile foofu 109 Mosquée Road képp ku ñu bëgg a jëkkoo tamit mën nga ñëw jëkkoo si téléphone yi 205 0523 695 7373 779 7720.
Mbiyan do kadante hadi almost every time katarana janne nte jama farare wax nka sanjanne aning like solo fana na sita fana nka bayo sanjanne na material so nka sanjanne ye material so abetiata bakala andungu ada fana diata fana ye bagasol dal nya sang jama bakatriala hostla ye bagasol betiata bakala. Customer service is wonderful anyway. The customer service abetiata bakele because your staff they are very good. Yalon fana nyiba do ko la nyaajan takana jan always bitikol siyatare but due to your staff benyaming they are so calm at the same time fana nyina take treat very well. Ye ikamule duty yimolale. Mba fala moli onko fana ye nana bitiko ni because ni bitiko a quality fengol ni bije quality tale and your staff fana they are so calm down to earth ikamul treat very well fana ye bagasol fana a chik tale fana pour mol sinana ngana jangana bitiko taja. Thank you.
Dreaming of owning a property in a prime location with great proximity and fantastic neighborhood? EJ Investments Sanyang Seaview Estate is the best choice you have been waiting for. Our Sanyang Seaview Estate is approximately 15 minutes drive away from the busy hub of Brusubi roundabout and into the heart of nature, where you can have a peaceful and relaxed lifestyle with your family. You can buy a finished 4-bedroom story with 5-year flexible payment plan or a service plot with 2-year payment plan plan option. With over 300 homes, you will enjoy big tar roads with covered drainage, modern electrification with solar street lights, gated entrance with security post, and a breath-catching experience of our beautiful sea view and lake view. You can own a home today at our Sanyang Sea View Estate. Call us today on 446-4838 or 325-9220. Visit our website on ejinvestments.net. EJ Investments, first in property.